Absegami High School. Comcast Sports presents high school wrestling. Tonight, it's the Region 8 Finals. With John Vogening, I'm John Mondelli. Good evening, everybody. And Voge, we had some outstanding wrestling this morning, this afternoon, as these wrestlers trying to qualify to go to Atlantic City. All but one of the number one seeds advancing.
That's correct, into the championship final round. And the one number one seed that didn't advance into the championship round, David Smith of Paulsboro, wrestled back to finish third, so he's going to Atlantic City as well.
Okay, let's talk about the interesting match in the semifinals, 145, Alcoba and Cooper. Cooper was a three-time region champ and then loses in the semifinals when he was winning.
Yes, and Alcoba's favorite move, it's called the cement mixer. It's a front headlock that he rolls through. He caught Cooper with it. He got him flat to the mat, and he got his pin.
Now, people that have been watching our coverage all year long are familiar with Mercado and Mancuso. They just keep wrestling each other. They wrestled again in the semifinals.
Yep, and Mercado come out on top again, so he's in the region final again.
Let's talk about the dominant district, which happens to be District 32. District 29, on the other hand, only three wrestlers in the finals.
Yeah, it goes in swings, I guess, and District 32 used to be the doormat, and now with the improvement shown by Absegami, and they have 8 wrestlers in the finals, District 32 has become the dominant district.
Okay, of course, Highland has a record, 6 region champions, I think back in '83, something like that,
when there
right?
were 12 weight classes, they had 7 in the final with 6 champions. Absegami has 8 in the finals tonight. They could tie or surpass that record. Be very difficult. Okay, and of course, we have a couple other wrestlers that are going for a 4th regional title. Curtis Cooper was one of them who got eliminated. And earlier, we saw C.J. Mays advance to the finals from Oakcrest, and Ryan Bridge from Absegami advance to the finals. They can become 4-time regional champions tonight.
And of course, Brandon Becker, a nice job by him. He advances to the finals. He'll go against Alcoba, a defending state champion.
He's got Alcoba, and he's got to beware of the cement mixer.
Okay, should be an interesting night of wrestling. We'll have all the action coming up next right here on Comcast. The NJSIAA believes that athletics supports the academic mission of our New Jersey schools by teaching sportsmanship, teamwork, self-discipline, and fair play. Studies have indicated that high school athletes in season perform better academically than out of season. Encourage your child to get involved in high school athletics. You will be glad you did. High school sports activities provide its participants with many of its life's positive values. Support your local high school program by your attendance of some of their contests. The NJSIAA provides 33 state championships in different sports for boys and girls. That number is the most of any state association in the United States. The NJSIAA is in the unique position to positively affect the quality of life in New Jersey because of the nature of interscholastic athletics, which knows nothing of the social bonds and racial origin. The shared experience of high school sports only demands fairness in competition and equal opportunity. High school activity programs are considered to be an American tradition. New Jersey is proud to sponsor activities for more than 216,000 New Jersey student athletes. And welcome back to Absegami High School with John Vogening. I'm John Mondelli as we get started for wrestling this evening. Just the Region 8 Finals. Of course, the state competition changes from the last few years, huh, Voge?
Yes, it has, John.
Of course, the wrestling will start Friday, Saturday. Will be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Before they used to have the super regions.
It figures to be a great weekend. Everything in Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City.
There we go. Just moving your mic a little closer.
All right. You got 2 rounds on Friday night, the preliminary round, the pre-quarterfinal round. It continues again on Saturday morning with the quarterfinal round and a wrestleback start. Saturday evening, the semifinals will be wrestled along with wrestlebacks. Sunday morning, the rest of the wrestlebacks, and they're wrestling, John, for 3rd, 5th, and 7th place this year.
Oh, okay. Because usually it was just 7-8, right?
They just named them 7-8 this way. They're wrestling for it. And then, of course, the finals in the afternoon.
And one change that I noticed was the semifinals being held on a different day than the finals, which gives those wrestlers something to sleep on, huh?
Yeah, and it gets them ready for the college level because that's what they do on the college level.
Okay, we just get a little delay here at the beginning. Something going on at the scorer's table. They were all ready to start. And,
looks like the restraining line to keep the crowd back was in the view of the scorers and timers, and that could be distracting.
Okay, we get ready for 103 pounds. Franklin Gomez of St. Augustine Prep against Brandon O'Hara of Washington Township. Gomez 30-1. He's a sophomore. O'Hara a freshman, 20-7. Gomez knocking off the #1 seed in the semis, Voj.
11-7, and it was a 7-7 match with just about 5 seconds to go. It looked like David Smith was in control. He had cut his man loose and gotten a takedown to tie it up. And then with 5 seconds to go, Gomez, who was taller than Smith, elevated his legs over, kicked over the back, and put Smith on his back for 2-2 in an 11-7 final.
What I liked about Gomez, his quickness and his strength for a 103-pounder.
Oh, yes, he's very agile out there, and he advanced to the finals. He was the #4 seed, as you mentioned. He won 10-6 over Jimmy Garrett of Egg Harbor Township in a district rematch. And then he won 11-7 over David Smith. And of course, Brandon O'Hara won 7-4 in the first round. He was the #7 seed. Then he won 4-3 in the semifinals against Derek Brown of Pittman. So we have the #5 seed and the #7 seed. One real wacky weight class.
And as you mentioned in the opening, Smith did advance. He won his consolation 5-2 over Garrett. What's interesting about Gomez, Garrett tech-falled him, I believe,
yes,
in the district final.
In the district final, you're correct.
What a way to come back. Right now it's 2-0 for Gomez.
And Smith, when he got in the wrestlebacks, he had to beat Anna Arroyo of Delsey first. He beat him 13-7, and then he met this Jimmy Garrett for third place and beat him 5-2. So Smith, a junior, 34-1, goes to Atlantic City.
Okay, and Gomez with now a 2-1 lead, 1 minute left in the first period. And no one's getting in, Village. This place is jam-packed.
It certainly is. John, when they reopened the doors, I guess it was at 3 o'clock, because the constellation started at 4:30. 3 o'clock, prior to that, about 2:30, I went out to the car to get my jacket, and the line out there was unbelievably long.
There's another takedown. It's now 4-1. Gomez has O'Hara in a little bit of trouble.
Oh, big time trouble. Cradle on him. If he can lock it up. Oh my, he's got him in deep trouble.
Plenty of time, 25 seconds left.
I was just going to say, 25 seconds is an eternity out there when you're in this position.
You got it.
Fall. Holy mackerel.
Looks like what, Voj? 141?
41.
So Franklin Gomez, his outstanding season continues.
And of course, people will ask, why did a guy like Franklin Gomez, who's 24-1, get the #5 seed? I'm sure people have been reading about the regional seeding done on criteria, and that's just the way the criteria fell, and how far they advanced before and everything. So,
well, just a pin.
Here's a look at it again. Got that cradle, got him locked up tight, exposing his back, and he makes no mistake.
And we didn't have a chance to talk about the coaches. Keith Hoover is the coach for St. Augustine. Rich Fleming for Washington Township. But Fleming will get to stay out here because, Voj, we're going to chance to see one of the best 112-pounders in the state. And right now, the front runner to win a state title at 112. And there's one down at Bergen Catholic, Nunziato, who's wants something to say about that.
Yeah, and this is David Tomasetti, who has beaten Nunziato before. So Tomasetti's got to be on a mission. He went into the States last year as one of the early favorites, and he lost in the semifinals, came back and finished third, but he's a man on a mission this year. And
there's a 4-second takedown. His opponent, Lou Torado, 26-5. He was the #2 seed. And a great match for him in the semifinals, trailing, I think, 3-0 at one time. He came back to win his semifinal match 5-4.
Over Dave Hagel of St. Augustine, who lost another heartbreaker, 5-4 Torado. Then he came back and lost in the wrestlebacks to Brendan Byrne, who he had beaten in the districts. He lost 3-3 in an overtime tiebreaker rideout. And then Brendan Byrne went on to lose to Brian Tracy of Paulsboro, the freshman who increased his record to 21-4 by a 4-3 margin.
Already some back points. It's 5-0. So a takedown within the first 4 seconds, and back points already a 5-0 lead for Tomasetti.
Man on a mission, John.
We talked about last year. He lost in the semis, got caught with a move.
There's an escape and then a takedown again.
7-1.
As often we mentioned on your show and in previous broadcasts, John, there are no guppies this far, so even though it looks like a dominating performance by Dave Tomasetti, there are only sharks left at this level.
First last year, Tomasetti was at 103.
Yep, up to 112 this year, and he was really cutting at the end of the year. Pretty tough for him at the end of the year too to make weight. So I don't know how much he's cutting this year, but he only has another week to go. Washington Township has 3 wrestlers in the finals. You already saw O'Hara, Tomasetti wrestling now,
and then Tyler Tisdale a little bit later on.
Yeah, Tyler Tisdale. By the way, Absegami, as we mentioned, has 8 wrestlers in the finals, which I believe is a record. I know Highland, the year they won 6 titles, had 7 in the finals. Kingsway and Delce each have 3. Washington Township has 3. Paulsboro has 2. Oakcrest has 2. Everybody else has 1.
Okay, 7-1 as we finish first period. As we start the second, it's Torado's choice. He's going to take up.
Joe Henry, the official, on the mat. There you see Rich Fleming in the corner along with Chuck Williamson, Jr., assistant coach. Fleming, the head coach.
And there's another takedown, 9-1.
Joe Henry is the official on the mat, and Al Maloney is his assistant out there.
Well, you almost sort of choose your poison. You know, Toronto, do you start on the bottom? Do you start neutral?
It doesn't make any difference.
Look at that move by Tomasetti. Nice job by Toronto to roll through, though.
Roll right through it. Of course, you mentioned earlier Brian Tracy wrestling Lou Toronto, and that was a 1-0 match in the second period when Toronto got a reversal and followed the reversal right into the back points.
I'm just trying to get something to take a pill. When do you get a chance?
And then and then he got the fall. So I'm sure Brian Tracy profited from learning what's going on at this level. Another escape.
Here's another contribution. He hit me $5 for tickets, by the way. We lost in the 50-50.
We lost to 50-50?
I was offered like 1,000 sodas today.
Oh, man.
There's a tip. Now, he doesn't want one. Voj has got water. I just have a headache, Voj. 9-2.
Well, you've been doing a diligent job following all this wrestling today. No wonder you have a headache.
You got me running around handing out sheets the last 2 weeks. I've cut weight.
There's another takedown.
Now 11-2.
Yeah, you did a great job of handing out the information sheets. That gives us a little bit of material to work with. Plus, you're also handing out letters to the seniors for the All-Star meet, the Seniors Classic, as we call it, with Delaware and Region 7 and 8 seniors. That will be held at Paulsboro the Tuesday after the state tournament. So I hope wrestling fans give it one last shot and come out to Paulsboro the Tuesday after the state championships and see the graduating seniors in Region 7-8. The highest placing state winner will get the opportunity to accept a position on the team.
Of course, there's a couple wild cards, and the other thing is if you can't make it out, we're going to be doing that match. So a couple ways to see that. But it'll be nice because if we have a couple good weights, you know, some kids get bumped. This is a nice chance. You have, 2 wild cards? One for each school. Each team gets to pick the wild card.
Yeah, there's a possibility it could be 3. If we don't have a 103-pound weight class, and South Jersey is shy of 103 seniors this year. So if Delaware has enough wrestlers, we'll go with 2 wild cards for South Jersey and 1 for Delaware.
12-2, third period.
And we try to get 16 matches wrestled. There's a 2-point reversal.
14-2. You know, Voj, this is the longest I think we've seen Tomasetti this year. I had a chance to see Washington Township a couple times this year, and once we did the dual meet against Kingsway.
Well, and I think it's a tribute to 2 things. Number one, Tomasetti working on his conditioning for that state tournament, and secondly, Lou Toronto not quitting out there and wrestling every second of the way. Those seniors, he might as well enjoy his last hurrah.
16 of Tomasetti's 29 wins coming by way of fall.
Not surprising. Might be getting a technical fall here if he could. Would he get a 2? Makes it 16-2. 14-point differential. 1 more set of back points and we'll have a tech fall. And here they could be coming.
Here's the count. Question is, does he hold him there? And he gets his tech fall and his region title. His second region title after placing 3rd his sophomore year.
And that tech fall is 19-2. And 3 minutes and 16 seconds.
Okay, we'll take a break. We'll be back with more wrestling from Absegami after this timeout. Welcome back to Absegami High School. Folks, you didn't even get a chance to talk about Tomasetti's college choices. It's down to Messiah, Hofstra, Rutgers, Bloomsburg, and Appalachian State. Of course, his favorite pastime, by the way, was eating and going to concerts. That eating, he's going to have to wait another week and a half for that.
Yes.
119, Paul Schleep. There we see him of Timber Creek, 28-2. He's a junior, and his opponent from Absegami, another junior, is Nick Bridge. Bridge is 30-4. One of Schleep's losses is the Tomasetti, 8-1. Then Bumenheimer of Boundbrook, he lost 8-3, and he was 5th in the state last year. So his only 2 losses were quality losses, and he has 23 pins out of his 28 wins. And Bridge, we've seen a lot of him the last 3 years, and last few years he's had to go up against that C.J. Mays, so it must be nice not to have to wrestle him.
That's true, and if my memory serves me correctly, this is a first appearance by a Timber Creek wrestler in the Region 8 finals, because Timber Creek's only 2 years old. And we did talk to Coach Rob Malowski, and he gave us the correct pronunciation, and it is Schleep.
And there's a takedown by Bridge.
One of 8 Absegami wrestlers in the finals tonight.
There's the escape. It's now 2-1.
Of course, Nick Bridge, as you mentioned, second to C.J. Mays last year in Region 8 as a sophomore. And second to C.J. Mays at 103 as a freshman.
Of course, finished 5th in the state last year. And he's going to pick up Schleep right now, put him right on his back. Schleep rolls through. So it'll just be the takedown, 4-1. One of Bridge's losses, I know, is to Dan Hilt of Manalapan, who finished 3rd last year at 112. And they're both in the same weight class. I'm not sure. I think it was like a 3-point match, like 7-4, something like that.
Interesting, Gene Barber was saying that when the Bridge brothers, and we'll see Ryan Bridge later on, when the Bridge brothers get together in their practice room, which is located behind us here at Absegami, he said a real war takes place. There's no brotherly love when they practice.
It's a lot of wins between those 2 wrestlers.
Of course, that's why Absegami is so very good right now. They're on a roll with their talent level is elevated, but they have such grueling practices, and they have the depth to enable them to have very good practices. It's something a lot of schools miss. There's another takedown.
6-2. I think between the 2 Bridge brothers, they have 221 wins, 90 for Nick, and what's that make, like 131 for Ryan.
I'd like to thank Mrs. Bridge for the little goodies she gave to Betty Voge on Friday night. A couple little muffins.
Nice, Vogue. What about you bring some by tonight for us?
Well, I had a muffin and a banana for breakfast this morning. It was a Bridge muffin.
Schleep, just running out of time.
6-2 at the end of 1. Nicky Bridge going after his first Region 8 title. Of course, Timber Creek being coached by Rob Malowski, John, who was quite a wrestler himself for Ralph Ross at Highland High School.
I remember the I think it was overtime, wasn't it? Him and Jason Suter, that Region 8 final at Vineland High School.
Some wild times in the past.
And there's a neutral. 6-3 lead now for Bridge. We go back to the center. Schleep looks like he's gaining a little confidence, Vogue, as the match is going on.
Yeah, you have to have confidence walking out there. As you mentioned, John, in 1985, what a great memory you have.
I said 83, so I was wrong, huh?
Jason Suter beat Rob
that
Malofsky
part. Okay, yeah.
of Highland 6-6-0-0 by criteria in overtime.
Just as I said, Schlief was gaining confidence. Bridge has him in a whole lot of trouble, Vogt.
Wow. Oh, brother. Oh, my. Just a matter of whether he's inbounds or out of bounds. Al Maloney down there knows that the shoulders are down, but has he got those shoulders completely in bounds?
40 seconds left.
Out of bounds. He's signifying out of bounds with the bottom wrestler.
3 back points. It's 11 to 3. 33 seconds left. Yeah, like $1,400 in the 50-50 today, Vogt.
Yeah.
Would have been nice splitting that money with you.
We didn't win.
No, we didn't even come close.
Doesn't matter where you see another escape. Doesn't matter where I buy him, from Betty Vogt at Paulsboro or Gloucester County College or here. My luck has continued. It's Rock luck.
There you go. 11 to 4. The other thing, Vogt, is we moved from the luxury boxes back a couple feet, up a row.
Yeah.
And I get charged for sodas now. All the beverages earlier were free. 13-4. Bridge is just putting on a clinic.
Yes, he is.
And I'll tell you what, that practice room must be something.
Oh, it's brutal. It's brutal. Steve Anashevsky was down here last week when we had the seating meeting here at Absegami, and he got a chance to go into the wrestling room and look at the scrimmaging going on there, and he says a war zone.
And an unbelievable season. Finished, fourth in one of the polls nationally, the top public school in the country.
Right.
Had that big win against Easton as they roll out.
Yeah, look at the Absegami style in their feet. I mean, they're in your face all the time. Pressure, 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 pressure. Always taking shots. When Iowa had that string of national championships when Dan Gable was coaching, that was a typical Iowa performance. In your face all the time. You see another takedown?
Yeah, it's 15-4 with 1:30 left here in period number 3.
That's a lot of points to score in a region final.
Now the question is, where do they get that style? Was Gene Barber that type of wrestler in high school and college? Is that something Pat Lynch has brought on? Scannell? I mean, look at the coaches they have there are unbelievable.
I think it's a combination of that. I think Gene Barber, was quite a wrestler himself, but he's brought Patrick Lynch aboard, who was a wrestled in the national level in the college ranks, in the freestyle ranks, and now he added to their staff this year Sean Scannell, who just got done wrestling collegiately at Rider University. So that collegiate background is the style that you're starting to see with Absegami. I mean, they're constantly putting the forward pressure on you.
As a matter of fact, Scannell is the only wrestler to beat stop Damian Hall from being a four-time state champion, and that was, I think, because you're not going to look this up and make me wrong, but I think that was 2-1, a one-point match.
It was in the state finals, and it was a one-point match. And as you mentioned, that was Damian Hahn's only loss. He's a 4-time state finalist, 3-time state champ.
15-5, about 30 seconds left.
Schlief doing a good job, but he's wrestling a very tough hombre here.
Check my notes here for third place finish here. And it was Sorte from Hamilton who beat Borelli of Delsit. 8-5.
Yeah, Borelli lost to Bridge 12-3, dropped into the wrestlebacks. He won 4-0 over Bobby Shea at Buna, and then he lost 8-5 to Joe DeSorti.
And it's going to end 15-5, so Nick Bridge wins his first region title.
Also at that weight class, Chris Cartella from Clearview won his first match 5-4 over Eric LaPierre of Winslow. Then he lost to Schlief, dropped into the wrestlebacks, and he lost to DeSorti, who came in third.
You can see a lot of the gym, the far side of the gym to us, and it is just packed. There's people in the corners.
No room at all.
Matter of fact, last night I heard at the quarters vote that they weren't letting anybody else in. So the crowd was terrific crowds all weekend. I spoke to somebody from Absegami who mentioned that they thought maybe it might be nice because Stockton just did a new gym. that they think maybe it would be nice to bring it over to Stockton.
There has been talk. There has been talk of moving it to Stockton.
And that'll save us at least 3 minutes on this hour and 15-minute drive.
Yeah.
125 pounds. There's some of the Absegami wrestlers. #1 team in the state of New Jersey. I'm going out on a limb saying that. It won't be announced till Monday.
Absegami being #1 in the state.
Yeah.
I think that's an open and shut case.
Yeah. Tony Crespo from Vineland is 31-0. CJ Mays, Oakcrest, 26-1.
We have the combined records of these guys in the finals of 57-1. Of course, as we mentioned earlier, CJ Mays, a 3-time South Jersey Region 8 champion already, 102 pounds in 2000, 112 pounds the last 2 years. Now he's up to 125. Another man on a mission.
He's tenacious. There's the takedown.
Walking into today, there were only 10 4-time regional champions in South Jersey history. In order: Chuck Trotman of Lenape, Matt Suter of Paulsboro, Bobby Hansen of Buna, Kevin Arucci of Eastern, Mike McGinley of Highland, Mike Booth of Camden Catholic, Leigh Black of Absegami, Mark Manchio of Sterling, Bobby Stinson of Camden Catholic, and Tom Curl of Paulsboro.
Oh, 50 seconds. Add CJ Mays to that list.
Oh, brother.
Wow. We're going to take a break. We'll come back. More wrestling from Absegami. There's the escape at 6-4. You'll see how Bridge plays this third period. You talked about it. Nobody's been hit for a warning yet for stalling. #1 and #2 seeds, but I think everybody thought Ryan Bridge was a clear favorite here.
Absolutely.
And there he goes for the takedown. He got it there. Now we'll see what he does, and he does let him go this time, and I agree with that move. So it's 7-6, Bridge over Mercado, Mercado over Bridge.
Very interesting. Let's see what unfolds here in this last minute and 21. Other than the match that Bridge lost this year, this might be the latest he's been involved in a match.
Oh, Mercado has Bridge in a little bit of trouble, a lot of trouble.
He's got back count. Oh my!
Oh, yeah.
Oh brother! Oh brother! Oh brother!
Under a minute.
Under a minute. All he's got to do is just take them as they fall.
12-6 lead.
Wow.
I was going to say, I think Bridge had a close match against Easton, but he won that one.
Yep.
He's not 6 points down with 50 seconds left.
And I think he was in trouble with the Buna wrestler in a duel meet. Watch this.
We'll hold up, folks. We'll run that after this match. Big move by Mercado.
Mike Wilcox of Buna had in a duel meet had Bridge in trouble and had him on his back, but that's never seen it him be this far behind. With 30 seconds to go, he's down 12-6.
Mercado's got to work his way up, but he can afford to stall a little bit with that lead. 20 seconds left, 12-6 lead.
Mercado knows it. Look, he knows it. He knows he's in charge. 19 seconds to go. It'll take a miracle for Bridge to win.
And the chance of Jared coming out from the crowd here at Absegami.
Another 3-time regional champion is not going to repeat, John. Paris Cooper first, and now it's Ryan Bridge, the returning state champion, 3-time region champion.
I think he gets the escape at the end, doesn't he? Not that it matters.
No, he didn't give me anything. It looks like 12-6 on the board.
There you go. Oh, just watch this flurry. This is what won it.
Bang, right in there on a single. Switches off. He's got the arm. Got that arm. He just pulls down on it. Rolls his hips right through. Takes his man right to his back. And keeps the pressure on right there. Look at him pick up the forearm. Just keep the pressure on. There's the back exposed.
Right.
And that gets him the count. Unbelievable.
And Voch, twice Mercado, Bridge took Mercado down. Both times Mercado came back with takedowns, and that last time, not only a takedown, but back points, the near fall.
That was his third takedown over the state champion.
And you know, he talked about 1 and 2 seed, but that right now is a major upset. And I'll tell you what, when people read the papers tomorrow, they're going to see that. And Ivan Wiggins will see that, because Wiggins already beat Mercado this year, Voj.
Right.
Ivan Wiggins, defending state champion, also from last year. Granted, it was a 112. But that's going to give him some more confidence, too, as the tournament goes along. You look right now at one of the top wrestlers in the country. That is Don Fish of Delsey. We're getting ready to see him at 135 pounds. Voj, all he's done this year is go 32-0, 122-13 for his career, 4-time district champ, 4th, 3rd, and 1st. His first 3 years in regions, 3rd 2 years ago in the state. Last year a state champion, which was probably the most exciting state championship we had last year against Molosky of Pinelands.
Yeah, 1-pointer right down to the final buzzer. And here's a kid who came through the youth ranks, and everybody had him being a state champion when he walked out of 8th grade. And that a lot of pressure on him that first year. And he's really matured along the way here. And he's in store for another great finish to his senior year.
And Voj, his opponent, somebody I told you earlier is going to make some noise upstate the next couple of years. He's only a sophomore, and that's Bobby Flegel. 29-5. He's lost to 3 kids from Pennsylvania. He lost to Fish 8-1. That was the first dual meet of the year. I had a chance to do that match with Steve Anashevsky on CN8. And that's a moral victory. We kept saying that 8-1, you know.
Yeah.
And his other loss, a 5-4 match.
Come on, here's a takedown, and he's got turning for back points. Didn't get turned fast enough or long enough. But the takedown to Fish. Donnie Fish, a number 1 seed. He won 13-5 in his opener against Fullbrook of Williamstown. He won by Tech Fall 18-3 and 406 against Chuck Martell, who subsequently at the end of that match was disqualified for repeated acts of misconduct, so he didn't get the chance to wrestle any further. Flegel, the number 2 seed, beat the Shields of Lower Cape May by fall in 3:14. He beat Jeff Harris of Winslow Township 8-2. Dave Schilling, by the way, who lost to Martell in the quarterfinals 6-1, wrestles back. He wins 7-3 over the Shields of Lower Cape May, and he finished 3rd, and he's going to Atlantic City.
So a nice showing by Schilling, especially good for that kid. That kid had a lot of injuries the last couple of years. To see him bounce back, that's a great job.
Yep.
Here's a neutral, it's 2-1. Fish.
Fish, one of 3 Delsey wrestlers in the finals. He'll be joined by John Belinsky later, 152 pounds, and heavyweight Tyler.
Here's Fish again. Nice move.
Nice move.
Quick and strong and
crisp.
Yeah.
Technically sound. You name it, he's got it. He's in a zone right now, John, and that's what you need when you get this far. You have to be in a zone, and you have to be thinking positive. It's all mental aspect.
And if you're Steve Isles, nice to know you're going out. You have a kid like Don Fish, nice ride to go out on, huh?
Yeah, this is Steve's last year as a active coach, going back to his full-time athletic director duties as you see Fish get a quick escape.
Now 5-1. By the way, that win by Mercado, nice for District 29 because they've had a rough day. So nice to see them pick up a victory.
Yeah, there's not many alive from District 29 tonight. Mercado has won, Karen of Paulsboro and Redmond of Paulsboro. So of all the districts here, the 29, 30, 31, and 32, District 29, which used to dominate this region for a couple of years, was a low team on the totem pole this year. District 30 had 6 in the finals. District 31, 7 in the finals, and of course the rest from District 32. 8 from Absegami, we mentioned earlier, 2 from Oakcrest, 1 apiece from St. Augustine and Ocean City. How the tide has changed by the shore, John.
Absolutely.
High tide in District 32.
There's a warning against Flegel.
Joe Henry, the on-the-mat official. Al Maloney, the assistant. Nice move by Fish.
Now 7-1.
Just powers down on the head and spins behind.
Yeah, you talk about Fish. I remember those stories, Voj, when he was in 7th grade, and then where's he going? Is he going to Camden Catholic? Is he going to stay at Delsey? Wrestling's the only sport you hear that. A little bit with basketball, but I mean,
when they come up through the youth ranks and they meet each other and they beat each other and they grow with each other, it's inevitable that they'll start picking up a reputation by the time they're in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And then everybody just anticipates what's going to happen when we get to the high school level. I'll never forget one time somebody told me young Tony Gentile, Jap Gentile's son, was going to be at least a 3-time state champ. What pressure on that kid to come up to the high school ranks and be labeled a 3-time state champ before he even stepped on the mat.
He did get a 3rd, though, I think, right, Butch?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Seven to 1 entering the 3rd period. Very methodical performance by Donnie Fish.
Sometimes there's those weight classes where a lot of kids just stay out of it. And this might be one of them. But this kid here for Absegami is going to be a good one. Just a sophomore.
Oh, yeah, he'll be back again. Donnie Fish have a sight set next year to go anywhere?
Ryder. I was going to say, Voj, that's like
he's already signed, right?
Right, that's a new hot spot, isn't it? A lot of New Jersey wrestlers picking Ryder.
See another takedown? Yes, you're absolutely right.
9-1.
And that's his 4th takedown in this match.
I mean, from South Jersey, we have, Stinson. Jeff Black, I believe, chose Ryder, correct?
Right, Black and Fish from this year's graduating class.
Cunningham.
Brian Cunningham and Dave Miller are already there. They're both in a redshirt year.
Right, we talked about
Bobby
Stinson.
Ray Stinson is starting for him this year as a true freshman. Jimmy DeSico is, I think, starting for him in their tournament this weekend. He's from Shawnee. He's a true freshman.
9-2, and maybe Tom Curl might end up there.
Well, his name has been bandied around. Of course, he's leaving the University of Buffalo, and he got his release. Did not wrestle in the Mid-Atlantic Conference Championships. And he's got feelers out, and I understand Ryder's one of the schools he's heard from, along with Lehigh and Drexel and a few other schools. Penn, University of Pennsylvania.
Another takedown. Now 11-2. 45 seconds left, 3rd period. This one's been all Don Fish.
5 takedowns during the course of this, 11 points he's scored. Very methodical effort, as I mentioned. Technically sound. Looks like he's in great shape.
There's a warning against Absegami. Flagel when he gets another point, 12-2. I remember Fish, I believe it was his freshman year in the region semifinals. I think against Smith of Washington Township. It was his brother Dave and Jeff ended up at Paulsboro. It was a wild match. I don't know if you remember that one, Voj.
Yes.
But his freshman year. That was just a loaded weight class because it was Fish, Becker, Smith, and Manchio.
Right.
12-2 final score. Donnie Fish the winner. We'll take a break. Be back with more wrestling after this timeout. And welcome back to Absegami. The nice ovation just before we came back for Jared Mercado as he got his award for finishing first at 130 pounds. We get ready for 140. Ricky Carlson of Oakcrest. He's a junior, 22-4. Tyler Tisdale, a junior from Washington Township, 27-2. Carlson has some pretty impressive losses too. Kid from Manalapan in the Neptune final, 8-4, lost to Alcoba. And lost a tough match to Brandon Becker, 8-5, and that was at Tri-Meet, Bojo. We went to see that with Hunterdon Central, Oak Crest, and Kingsway around the Christmas holiday.
Right.
Right now, Carlson in on the leg. But
Tisdale fights him off.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people think his last name is Tisdale, and it's actually Dell in the end. So it's Tisdale, and he gets the takedown.
Yeah, he did a nice job fighting that off. His only 2 losses to Ryan Pope of Rancocas Valley and Randy Moore
Camden Catholic.
Of Camden Catholic. I got ready to say Pemberton.
Yeah. Tyler Tisdale comes in the #1 seed. He won 7-0 over Christian Dixon of Pittman. First match, won 6-3 over Phil Black of Absegami, the sophomore, in his second match. Carlson, the #2 seed, advanced with an 8-3 win over Kevin Aggressive of Williamstown, and then 6-2 over Ricky Wilcox of Buna. Ricky Wilcox of Buna comes back and beats Phil Black of Absegami 8-6 in overtime to advance to Atlantic City.
You know, we talked about Mercado, how he was 8-8 his freshman year. If you look at Tisdale, 15-13 his freshman year to 30-8 as a sophomore, 27-2 this year. So nice job. And his favorite pastime, by the way, Vogue, when not wrestling.
Yes.
It's mine, right there.
Eating.
Yeah.
Sounds like a Shryrockism.
Yeah. Big fan of that myself.
Well, relatively tame match here, considering a couple of the other wild matches. Carlson wiggles free for an escape.
Carlson's actually a 3-sport athlete, also soccer and baseball. I mentioned soccer, knowing you're a big fan of that sport, Vogue.
Oh yeah, I love it. Washington Township coach, of course, is Rich Fleming. And
Kevin McGuigan with him. If our sheet is right, we asked the coaches to tell us who's in the corner with him.
Right.
Tisdale, did he get a takedown at the buzzer? No, it's 2-1. And we mentioned the different coaches because a lot of times some coaches work with the lightweights, some coaches work with middleweights, and some with the heavier weights. So sometimes you'll see a different coach in the corner.
Absolutely, they share the wealth. The Oak Crest coach.
And is Jason Brown.
Jason Brown, he used to wrestle for Oak Crest.
And there's Fleming on the left, the head coach of Washington Township.
Tisdale started down. He's trying to free himself. Al Maloney, the official on the mat. Ron Roberts, the former outstanding wrestler from Buna, now a member of the State Police in New Jersey, is the assistant on the mat.
Vogue, I'm sure when you fly down the road 75, 80 miles an hour, you use his name and you get pulled over, don't you?
Well, I just, ask him if they know my cousin Ron, Ron Roberts, yeah.
There you go. Well, I'm a fan of the cruise control. You put it on the speed limit and you go. You remember, you cut up my driving that time we were late for the Paulsboro Absegami match.
Yeah. There's an escape.
Yeah, there it is. It's now 3-1. Tisdale. Tisdale, a 2-time district champ, winning the last 2 years. 5th, 6th last year in the regions. Or Carlson, I should say.
Yeah.
So Washington Township, Coach, had a strange season, and all that turmoil and who's in the lineup, who's not in the lineup, who's hurt, who's not hurt, and they still won their conference.
Yeah, I think decimated by injuries to an extent, and a couple of discipline problems that had to be solved, and lack of depth. They get all that talent, as we see a stalemate called. If you get all that talent together one time in the room and they all stay healthy, they could put a pretty formidable lineup out in the mat.
And we saw them against Kingsway, and they were short-handed, and they took that thing down to the wire.
Right to the wire. All matchups, all the draw, the random draw. How many times we've talked about that? What could happen out there according to the matchups. There's a takedown by Tisdale. Gives himself a little breathing room with a 5-1 lead.
Nice job by Tisdale out there as we go down, count down the final 5 of period number 2. Last year he finished third in regions. The Falcons.
Falcons of Oakcrest.
You like that falcon there on the back?
That's neat.
Carlson starts the third period on the bottom.
There's an escape.
Talked about Township with 3 wrestlers in the finals. This is their third. O'Hara at 103. We saw him. He finished in second. Tomasetti, a winner at 112.
We flew by that opening so fast with the first match. St. Augustine Prep had a champion in Franklin Gomez.
Right.
And that champion is the first one since 1991 when Dave Lagamba got a championship. And Dave Lagamba, I believe, is coaching at Millville this year. Prior to that, Keith Taylor had won a regional title, and Bobby Malatesta had won 3 regional titles.
I remember the Bobby Malatesta years. He was an unbelievable wrestler. 5-2 lead, 50 seconds left, third period. Tyler Tisdale, Washington Township.
Of course, Washington Township, you only have to go back to last year with Tomasetti won, so they continue along with another repeat regional champion.
25 seconds. Carlson's got to go for a big move now.
Well, 5-2. He needs a throw and back points.
Right. You might as well go for broke, and that's what happens. You kind of go in there, you take your chances, and to do or die, you might get taken down. And right now, no one's got anything. But 7 seconds left. Tisdale will take it. He's going to swing behind and get the takedown anyway at the buzzer. Final score 7-2. Tyler Tisdale of Washington Township is our Region 8 champ.
Number 1 seed.
At 140 pounds. Of course, that went the way it was supposed to. The first top 2 seeds.
Yeah, he was the champion. Carlson, the number 2 seed, was second. Ricky Wilcox, the number 3 seed, was third. And Phil Black, who happened to beat the number 4 seed, Pat Byrne of Paulsboro, 8-4 in the opening round or in the quarterfinals. Phil Black finished 4th.
We get ready for 145 pounds. Vogue. It is
Don't blink.
Jordan Alcoba against Brandon Becker. I guess we couldn't say it more. I mean, 2 totally different styles. You know, Alcoba, as we mentioned, was losing. It was a close match, 2-1, but I think it was 2-1 at the time against Cooper. But Cooper looked like he was controlling the match, and you told me, you know, watch out.
Yep, could see it coming. Could see it coming. If you get too elevated with Jordan Alcoba, you're very susceptible to what they call the cement mixer. It's a front headlock roll through, and he executes that about as good as anybody on the high school level.
As far as Brandon Becker, though, there's not a kid that's more focused, who studies the sport as much.
And he's on a mission, I think, John.
Right, 137-10 in his career. 1 loss to Eckloff of Pennsylvania, 4-2 in the Beast of the East, and he got caught. His dad was telling us on that same move, that cement mixer. Only gave up the 2 back points, but that was enough to cost him. 31-1 this year. He won the Beast a couple years ago, and he's trying to follow that same path as Tom Curl. 5th as a freshman, 3rd as a sophomore. State champion last year, 4-time district champ, 2-time or 3-time now, or trying for his 3rd region title. Also a member of the football team, and he's already has his scholarship locked up to Indiana.
Yeah. Becker got here with a 3:30 fall over Dan Giacopello of Oakcrest in the quarterfinals. 3:51 fall over Mark Ring of Washington Township in the semifinals. Alcoba a 4-2 win over Nick Favorito of Shalleck in the quarterfinals, and then that shocking 346 pin against Karis Cooper, the 3-time Region 8 champion in the semis. Karis Cooper and Favorito wrestled for 3rd place. Cooper beat him 4-1. So Cooper does get another chance to go to the state tournament, but not as a Region 8 champion. We mentioned on your show last week, I didn't know whether he was playing possum.
I was just getting ready to bring that up, Voge, because he woke up, by the way.
Well, he certainly did in this tournament, but he had a couple of close matches, especially with Favorito of Shalleck. So was he biding his time, or was he, not as mentally sharp as he should be at this time of the year?
And I think Favorito's that type of wrestler. If you watch him in his matches with a lot of the good wrestlers, he keeps it close.
Look at the consolation match. Karis Cooper was scoring points by the bushel-full. Wins 4-1 over Favorito.
Sure. So Cooper, who coming in was a 3-time Region 8 champ, does advance. However, 3rd this year.
Yep. Of course, everybody familiar by now, I think, with Jordan Alcoba, who wears a hair cover. It looks like a cone head out there. There's a Becker trying a trip. Got pressure on the head. You see him reaching out with his leg. Oh my, look at that. It's going to be out of bounds. Oh, brother.
That's Becker sending a message there, Voge.
Oh, my.
Take a look at this one real quick.
This is an Alcoba move, and Becker performs it. Watch this. Got that front headlock here. Flips him over, elevates, and if you're inbounds, it's curtains. That's exactly what Alcoba did to Cooper. Elevated, flipped him right over, came down, locked up that pin. But no score right now.
Right.
A lot of respect both have for each other. Ron Roberts, as we mentioned, the official. Tom Reynolds, who's also a policeman, by the way, John.
Yes, he is.
Is the assistant.
I see you have your encyclopedia there. If we go back to last year, you can remember the best match in regions last year was Galente and Becker, and Galente's brother we're going to see next.
Absolutely.
That was the one, double overtime.
So wild, so wild.
You can see the 30-3 record for Jordan Alcoba.
Becker took a decision Galante in the second overtime, 10-6. So that was it. They went all the way to the tiebreaker last year. I don't think Becker wants to go overtime this year.
No. Of course, Alcoba with the score of this match, doing the smart thing and taking the bottle.
With no score, that's the obvious move. If they have to go to the tiebreaker, first point scored is huge.
It's obvious, but we've seen it many times this year where coaches told the wrestler not to do it.
Yeah.
Or chose the opposite.
Yeah.
I still remember Jackson twice against Paulsboro not doing that.
Yeah, puzzles me, but to each his own.
Becker bringing Alcoba right down to the mat. He has to do that.
Right now, a very methodical ride by Becker. Of course, what he has to be careful of, he's got to, as he's showing here with a 3/4 Nelson, show some kind of pin combination that he's working for, or he could be called for a stall riding on top.
Just ran out of room a little bit. You know, we talked about Becker beating Joe Galante. He came back to beat him 8-2, a little easier time in the state finals.
Yes.
So Region 8 proved to be the top at that weight class last year.
When it's a Region 8 final and then a state final, that's where the class of the state resides.
Make it a stalemate here. Potentially dangerous. Castro and Farnham in the corner for Kingsway. Barber and Scannell for Absegami. Of course, Brian Farnham had a great career at Haddon Township back in the day when Haddon Township had a good wrestling team. They're falling some hard times the last 6-7 years.
Cradle capital of the world at one time, John. You wrestled a Haddon Township team. All you drilled for 3 days prior to that match was defending the cradle.
Becker picking Alcoba up, bringing him right back down. We're a minute 30 into the second period. Becker doing a nice job on top. However, he hasn't scored anything yet. You know, Alcoba's got to get some points here. Becker very physical.
And in complete control right now.
Yeah. Now, Alcoba's showing no signs of getting out. There's another stalemate, right?
Right.
7 seconds.
And Becker took a quick peek at the clock, and sometimes when you do that, you may be called for a stall.
Right.
Alcoba's got 7 seconds to get a point.
And we're going to be scoreless heading into the third period.
Who would have thought, huh?
I would have thought, this somehow I thought would be 8-4, 10-6 maybe going into the third period. There's Sean Scannell and Gene Barber.
And Becker doesn't look healthy out there right now. Injury time?
Looks like it. You saw it. Looks like he banged the side of his head.
He grimaced, and first I thought he was holding the side of his ribs, but now he's indicating the side of his head.
Looks like the ear.
Yeah, sometimes they get cauliflower ear if they wrestle without their headgear on, and sometimes the headgear puts pressure on it. I don't know, but you see Farnham telling him, let's go. Jesse Castro.
By the way, if you're watching the regions on Monday, don't forget, tune in Tuesday for the high school sports report, because guess what? First place, you're going to see the state seedings.
That'll be it.
Yeah.
9 o'clock Tuesday morning, I'll be in Robbinsville, John.
Don't wait for the newspapers. You'll get them first here.
Alcoba kind of lets Becker go there, so.
1-0 Becker.
See what happens here. Of course, Alcoba, as documented, loves that cement mixer. So even though he's down 1-0 and you're not careful, he can flip you and turn you in a heartbeat.
As we look at Becker, he's the only state champion in Kingsway history.
See Becker grabbing that arm of Alcoba to try and not let him get into a situation where he can put that front headlock on, which leads to the cement mixer.
I'm trying to neutralize it a little bit.
Yep. Uh-oh. Oh, my. Oh, my.
Look at Becker.
Oh, brother.
Got the takedown now.
Oh, my.
2-1.
A little over a minute to go. We're coming up on a minute. Becker to roll through. Alcoba fouls him.
We talk about Becker and his patience and his smart wrestling. It's going to have to come in big here in the final minute. We saw it last year. We saw it a couple times this year watching Kingsway in some dual meets. Down a point with 1 minute left.
The pressure builds when you're walking around with that bullseye on your back, John. You're a state champion. Everybody's gunning for you. You got nothing to lose.
There's Becker with the escape.
Nice escape.
2-2. And remember, Becker has the first points in this match.
Of course, he was hurting a little bit. He maybe like to get this over with in regulation, but he needs to take down to do it. No stalling points, no stalling warning so far. "20 seconds left in regulation."
Crowd yelling stalling, but I'm not sure who they're calling it on, who they're yelling it on.
Stalemate.
You don't see it too often where they hit both guys. You used to see that a little more when they hit both wrestlers. You don't see it as much.
Now.
Now the crowd's yelling Jordan behind Alcoba.
They want to see that cement mixer in this gymnasium one more time. They've seen it so many times this year.
Well, they're going to have to see it in overtime if they see it at all. 3 seconds left. Okay, because they're going to start right up. They go right into it. 1 minute. We'll take a break. Come right back. Well, back for overtime. Brandon Becker, Jordan Alcoba, 2-2.
Oh, my.
Alcoba, right in on the leg.
Oh, my.
Becker doing a nice job trying to fight it off.
Oh, brother. Oh,
It's
brother.
over. He might pin him, though, Boge.
Oh, my. Oh, my.
It's over. out the number 1 and number 2 seeds, and right now you're looking at the most valuable wrestler in Region 8.
Without a doubt. Unbelievable.
For the second straight year, Becker went overtime. Wouldn't be surprised if they wrestle one more time.
Wow.
Take a look, Vogue.
Here it is. Look at that. Right in on the ankle. Right in on the ankle. Right off the whistle. Pulls the ankle in. Knocks Becker off balance. Alcoba smells blood. And he goes right after it. Right after it. Look at Becker holding on to the head. He's trying to flip him over. And Alcoba has been in that situation so many times. He just counters by stepping over. Gets the 2. Gets the 3. Trying for the pin. Once the pin's not imminent, the match is stopped, and that's a 5-point move and a 7-2 win. Unbelievable.
Some great performances in this tournament all weekend. Franklin Gomez, a terrific job. Then we have Mercado, and now we have Jordan Alcoba. We get ready for 152 pounds.
Congratulations to our top 4.
The NJSIAA believes that athletics supports the academic mission of our New Jersey schools by teaching sportsmanship, teamwork, self-discipline, and fair play. Studies have indicated that high school athletes in season perform better academically than out of season. Encourage your child to get involved in high school activities. You will be glad you did. We'll have more of that announcement later, voted by the NJSIAA, 152 pounds. The number 1 seed, Jason Belinsky of Delsey, 31-1. His opponent, Matt Galante of Ocean City, 30-2.
And what a wild matchup this could be. Jason Belinsky, of course, the regional champion last year when he came in lower in the seeds. This year he's the number 1 seed. And it's 14-5 over Jason Eckmeyer of Hamilton in his first match. 14-5 for his 100th career win over Mark Pfeiffer of Overbrook in the semifinals. Galante shocks Jared Vallejo in the quarterfinals with a 5:01 fall, and then he comes back and wins 10-5 over Dave Williams of Absegami to get to this point. Trevor Suter, who lost to Williams by fall on Friday night, bounces back into the wrestlebacks just like last year when he lost on Friday night. He beats Mark Pfeiffer of Overbrook 12-4, and he comes back and he pins Jason Eckmeyer of Hamilton for 3rd place, and he will go to the state tournament.
And he also beat Vallejo. Did you say that?
Beat Vallejo in the first round of the wrestlebacks 5-4.
Yeah, you did mention it. You think maybe he's allergic to wrestling on Friday nights. Having
2 years in a row.
2 years in a row.
2 years in a row. He comes in here, loses on Friday night, and he wrestles back, has to win 3 times on Saturday to get 3rd place.
Of course, Jason Belinsky, what's interesting about Belinsky, Vogue, last year he was a region champ, but at 160, he's down a weight class.
Yeah, and that's happened before. Remember there was a wrestler from Morristown by the name of Jay Dever, who I think was a 189-pound champion one year and 171-pound champion the next.
And that's a bigger jump.
Yeah.
2-1 on the escape.
Of course, Galante is another one that has a terrific, if you get too close to him, headlock takedown, which can produce big points. So
Galante, his 2 losses, one to a wrestler from North Catholic in Philadelphia before Christmas. So it must have been a Christmas tournament, 9-7, then to Aaron Kitt in the district finals. So that's his 2 losses.
Yeah, and that was kind of an upset to Kitt. Galante heavily favored there. Kitt lost in the opening round to Mark Pfeiffer of Overbrook, 5-4. Kitt comes into the wrestlebacks and he got pinned by Jason Eckmeyer of Hamilton. So Kitt, who beat Galante in the district final, is nowhere to be seen now when we're looking at the guys going to the state tournament.
Right, and getting to Belinsky, by the way, Galante 81 career wins. Belinsky with 100, by the way, Vogue.
Got his 100th win in the semifinals.
And Belinsky has only lost to Matt Doyle of Wall Township early on, 11-3.
And that was up a weight, that's 60.
Right.
Galante was a number 6 seed. We mentioned earlier how there were 1 and 2 seeds, I think, in 10 of the 14 weight classes,
right,
and a couple 1 and 3s, and this is a 1 and 6, and then of course the 103 pounders never make any sense. That was like a 5 and a 7. So after a period here, it's 2-1 in favor of Belinsky.
Of course, in the corner, with Bill Nichols, the head coach, is Tony Galante, obviously a relative.
The father, proud father of Joe Galante last year, who's a rider, by the way, redshirting.
2-2.
Skate ties it up.
Right. What I've been impressed about Belinsky, Vogt, seeing him the last few times, is how good he is on the feet and how quick he is. He's deceivingly quick, and you just see it there as he grabs the ankle and gets the takedown. And it's got to be tough for his dad, who's a reporter. He's over at the press table right now trying to watch your son and cover the sport at the same time.
Tremendous amount of pressure on the dad.
Goes Belinsky into the weights, likes lifting.
Well, when he goes to the next level, of course, that's going to be so very important. You go to the Division I level, John, I'm sure that's where Jason is headed. You go to the Division I level, you know you have to have great technique, great conditioning, but you got to have a lot of strength, and you got to be mentally strong.
1:05 left in the second period, 4-2 lead.
As I mentioned earlier, here for us over the PA system, that Paul Vaccaro, who wrestled here last year, is at the College of New Jersey, earned All-America honors today in the Division III National Tournament. And, of course, last week in the Pac-10 tournament, Chris Carlino, who wrestled a year at Gloucester County College and went to Bakersfield for a year, and last 2 years at Cal State Fullerton, finished fourth in the Pac-10, and he'll be going to Kansas City for the Division I Nationals.
And these Absegami wrestlers doing well. Of course, Leigh Black's still alive at Buffalo.
Yeah, he's at Buffalo, and he's going to be competing in the Mid-American this weekend. Got a tough road ahead of him because it's a smaller conference, and I think they only take the 10 winners plus about 6 wild cards. And I think Labe was seated ranked 3rd at his weight, so the odds were against him. As you see the corner with, in the red shirt, Father Galante, Tony Galante, and Bill Nichols, the longtime veteran coach with the mustache there of Ocean City. Tom Reynolds, the on-mat official, Joe Henry, the assistant.
Belinsky with the 4-3 lead. All 3 Galante's points come in on escapes. And there's another, I was going to say there's another takedown for Belinsky, not yet. Galante does a nice job to fight that off.
Yep.
19 seconds left in the second.
And Jason has to be careful in those situations because Galante loves to hit that headlock.
Well, Belinsky is taking the shots. Seems a more aggressive wrestler here. His dad's tell him take the bottomless. I don't know if he has the final say. There we see Jordan Alcoba, Brandon Becker, those 2 guys wrestled that last match, an exciting match in overtime with Alcoba winning. Here we see the Ocean City coaching staff. Period number 3.
Belinsky gets the escape to take a 5-3 lead. So you think Father Belinsky told him to take the bottom, huh?
Well,
a blind man could have told him to take the bottom.
Pointing down, so.
That's the bottom. Yeah, I don't think it took a rocket scientist to figure out which position he should take. Although, with a couple takedowns, it wouldn't have been a bad move to take neutral.
But I think he knows how strong he is on his feet. So there's a warning against Belinsky for stalling. And the Father Belinsky doesn't like that call. There's Galante. He's trying to hit the big move.
Oh, my.
He ties it at 5. Now he's got a decision here with 1:15 left. That's a lot of time to try and hold your guy down. If you can't turn him quick, you'll know if you can turn him. You might want to free him up because you hate to lose by a point on a late escape.
Yeah, they called a stalemate there. Could have easily called a stall there, too. So, Galante's going to be careful. Where are you here?
And we're going to see the freestyle start, so he's going to give Belinsky the lead.
I think so, with 1:06 left.
And his brother Joe Galante's right off to the side of the coaches on his knee trying to coach also.
There's Belinsky again in on the leg, and he gets the takedown.
7-5, 8-5 now with 52 seconds left.
That's his 3rd takedown in the match. probably a smarter thing here, John, to ride him for a little bit rather than go into the neutral. You know,
Right, you don't want to take a chance of getting taken down.
That's what plus back points, and that's what Galante is noted for. Not only the takedown, but many, many times taking his opponent right to his back, which almost happened when he got the takedown against Polinsky.
There we go.
Escape.
8-6 now with 25 seconds left. They push and shove, 21 seconds left now.
And if he keeps the pressure on him, he might draw a stall call, which would draw it to within a point.
There's the coaches, and to the side of Nichols is Mike's brother,
Galante,
Joe.
yeah. 13 seconds to go. Do or die.
6 seconds. There's now Joe's on the mat there. There you can see Joe Galante. He lost to Becker last year in that great overtime match. Polinsky's going to hold on and win as his dad raises his hands. Polinsky wins his second straight title. Final score 8-6. Jason Polinsky, a nice little lap into the hands of Steve Isles. Of course, Brondorf from North Hunterdon is the favorite there. He's a returning state champion. But I don't know the styles because I don't remember last year's match with Brondorf. I know he had an easy time winning.
Right. Very strong kid, and the question will be what kind of shape he's in because he missed part of the season with some I guess ball problems that he had.
Okay, last year Frondorf beat Ryan Goodman 16-7. That kind of tells you the kind of talent he has.
If he's in shape, he can score a lot of points.
Right. And the crowd stands right now because
you get a shot of Alcoba in the stands over there.
Yeah, Jordan Alcoba is getting his award.
Look at that hair.
For winning.
Camera people, can we get a shot of Alcoba on the podium? No?
Voge,
there he is.
I'll tell you what, you check back. You graduated from Paulsboro, Voge?
Yes.
What year?
Oh, well, wait
57?
1958.
58. Tell you what, you get that Pegasus yearbook, right?
Yes.
Pegasus yearbook, class of 58. Look for the guy with that hair. That's John Vogeling, pal. Is that your hair like that?
Thank you, camera person, whoever that was, got the shot. Well, thank you.
I give it credit to the director.
Because when he wears that cone head top out there, that hair covering, we don't get a chance to see those frilly hair curls.
Just one strand is more than I have. Mark Barber, 160 pounds at Kingsway against Kyle Capella of Absegami. Two seniors, 160 pounds. It's interesting here, Bud, you have a wrestler with 9 losses and a wrestler with 8 losses in the region final, but these two teams were both in the Beast of the East. Kingsway went to the Virginia Duels. Absegami wrestled everybody they could, including Easton, including all the top teams down the shore. They wrestled Manalapan, Southern, breezed through the Group 4 state playoffs. So, a lot of competition, so a lot of strong wrestlers. So these guys don't be deceived by the losses.
Now, and Barber with 9 losses was the #1 seed at this weight class because of his background. He won 13-6 over Jason Villamus of Delsey in the quarterfinals. Of course, Villamus the one that pulled the upset over Barber in the districts. Barber won 3-2 over Bill Jacobs of Hamilton in the semis. Kyle Capella advanced with a 234 pin over Dewan Collins of Deptford, where he was almost pinned himself. Collins drove him down to the mat. He kind of stunned him and got the fall call, but the assistant official said, wait a minute, now he went limp, so he was hurt. They gave him the injury time, and he comes back and he pinned Collins. Capella then beat Jim Thomas of Buna 6-5. Thomas wrestles back and he beats Bill Jacobs by injury default to place third. Dewan Collins came back and won his first match against Nino Palomini at Paulsboro 15-6 before losing by tech fall to Jacobs.
Yeah, Capella in that Thomas match was losing for a long time, and we were watching that, Bud, and you just said watch, because he kept coming at Thomas, wearing him down, and just he took control.
Yeah, they have a very aggressive positioning on their feet for Absegami. Like I mentioned before, they just seem to always be coming at you.
Another interesting thing about these two guys, neither one has ever won a district title.
Yep.
And one of them's going to win a region title.
Yep.
But Mark Barber has made great strides the last few years. As is Capella, 7-7 as a sophomore. 58-45 in his career, but it's Barber with the first points and the takedown. So the Kingsway 160-pounder, Mark Barber, with a 2-0 lead. And nice to get those points late in the period. You go into that second period with a little room.
Yeah, just kept pressing forward and got in on that double and knocked his man off his feet.
Absegami looking for a little locking hands there. Scannell came up asking where's the locking hands. Talk about Mark Barber, just to kind of show you what kind of kid he is. In the classroom, by the way, folks, he plans on attending college for pre-med.
Pre-med.
You know, also likes fishing, hunting, weightlifting. Of course, his uncle is Dean Duca, assistant coach for Paulsboro. His one other uncle, Joe Duca.
And of course, the dad is Mark Barber.
Right, and his cousin is a coach of Absegami.
Gene Barber. Mark Barber, a policeman, another policeman that I know.
In Gippsland. Nice career at Gateway, didn't he?
Yes. Well, Mark Barber, this Mark Barber has done a great job, just getting better and better.
Yeah, look at his record, folks. 9-11 as a freshman, 18-15 as a sophomore, 20-10 last year.
Right.
We talked about the competition: 4th, 2nd, and 3rd in the districts. 4th last year in the regions. Coached by Jesse Castro.
And I want you to keep all these sheets for posterity, John, so in a few years when he's got that medical degree, we can call on him and say we said some nice things. And
well, when I call him, I'll say, you know, I got this little... And by the way, we live in the same town, so I'm sure, you know, he'll take care of me.
Be nice to call him Dr. Barber someday.
Yeah. Of course, depends on what kind of doctor he is, but I'm not going to go anywhere with that one. I might not need to call him. Okay, of course, speaking of Capella, he's going to go to Ursinus.
Oh, look at this roll through. Oh, my.
Barber with the 3-0 lead.
Barber stayed right with it, though, and he's in position here to get points. He gets a takedown.
5-0.
What were you saying about Capella?
Going to Ursinus College. And by the way, his favorite pastime, surfing. And, of course, when you're down here near the shore, why not?
Yeah. Not going to get much surfing in at Ursinus.
Mark's brother, Nick, is just a junior. He finished 4th this year at 171 pounds. And that weight class was loaded, folks.
Yes, it was. Of course, another wrestler at Ursinus from Absegami is Scott Resch. I believe he finished 2nd in their Centennial Conference Championships this year.
An escape in a 5-1 match. 35 seconds left. Of course, Vogue knows so much about wrestlers in South Jersey because every Saturday he does that great column in the Courier Post. Won't be many more columns left, though, Vogue.
No,
a couple?
No, this next one will deal with all the national qualifiers, and then we go out to Kansas City and watch them, and the final column will be on how they do out there.
Be a nice takedown for Barber to get again later in the period. Capella doing a nice job. Now Barber can hold on. He doesn't want to give up the points here either, so now he'd be... And that works out for him.
Yeah, potentially dangerous on that knee.
Would have been nice to have that 7-1 lead, but better 5-1 than 5-3. Let's take the safe way out here.
Yeah, especially 5-1 with no knee damage.
What I like is Brandon Becker out by the mat, just coaching Barber right in the center along the blue mat off the side. 5-1 lead for Mark Barber. 2 minutes to wrestle here in the 3rd. There's another escape, 5-2. So Capella's 2 points coming on escapes.
Now Barber has to be careful because now Capella can feel the pressure of being behind, and he's going to be looking for a throw with back points if he can engineer one. Of course, working in a wrestling room with Jordan Alcoba and gang, nothing is impossible. But how about what we've seen in this Region 8 tournament? A couple of state champions knocked off.
Has that ever happened, Vogue? I mean, to see 2. I remember we saw the year Covington beat Lynch.
Lynch, yeah.
But I don't know if we've ever seen it twice.
I don't know if we've ever seen 2 state champions knocked off.
That's homework, Vogue. Last time District 29 had fewer than 4 because they only had 3 guys in the finals.
Right.
And 2 times 2 state champions, returning state champions losing. Just a wild, wild night.
Oh, absolutely.
1:13 left. Barber goes right back to the center here.
Yeah, I'm really going to have to do some research to find out that inequity of District 29. It's been a long time since they've had that few of numbers in the finals.
Barber doing a nice job with the leg.
That single again. Capella elevates. They're going to go out of bounds.
You might have to correct me, but I think Capella's big win this year came against Lear, who was nationally ranked from Eastern, right? Didn't it? Easton,
yeah.
4-0 win, which was pivotal when it came down to the wire, huh?
Oh, yeah, came right down to Rob Leeds at the end, who was down in the first period, battled back, forced the overtime, won in overtime, and Absegami beat Easton by a point. And not only gained area bragging rights, but was the top team in New Jersey, beating the top team in Pennsylvania, but more importantly, elevated them to the number 4 position in the country and the top public school team in the country.
35 seconds left. You see Becker there, Voge, how he's just right on the corner of the mat.
Yep.
I mean, that guy, there's a kid that just lost a big match.
Huge, yes.
And he's out there cheering on his team, coaching his team. But you don't see him. There's a guy that's always into the match, always out there. I appreciate that about a teammate.
And his season is not over, let me tell you right now. Refocus, work hard this week. He'll go into that state tournament, and he'll be a man on a mission there.
And we've seen it where a kid in the same region has lost to a kid in the finals of regions that came back. Remember Covington?
We saw that
Suter.
with Kip Covington against Suter.
Right, and I'm sure it's happened before. Oh, Barber looks like another takedown.
Yep,
7-2. Kingsway fans are on their feet. It's over.
Over.
Great job by Mark Barber.
Absolutely.
We'll watch him go over to his cousin. There, you see it?
Yep.
7-2. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Absegami High School. We get ready for 171 pounds. A nice job at the number 1 seed, Mark Barber of Kingsway, with a nice win. Kingsway, had 3 in the finals, Voge?
Yeah.
And Mark Barber picks up the win at the start of the year. I think a lot of people would have been surprised if you said he'd be the one who'd win the region title.
It's true.
And look at Ryan Goodman already up 2-1. And 9 seconds in with the takedown, the escape to Frank Hales of Overbrook, just a junior. But then again, so is Ryan Goodman. So
yeah, Ryan Goodman's unbelievable. Freshman year at Middle Township, the last 2 years here at Absegami, second in the state last year. He opened with a technical fall, 20-5 over Frank Caratola of Deptford. Then he followed with a technical fall, 20-5 over Nick Barber of Kingsway. That gets him to this point. Frank Hales, a junior, a fall over Moises Hernandez of Vineland, and then a 9-8 win over Vince Jones of Winslow Township to get this far. This is number 1 and number 2 against each other. Vince Jones wrestles back, beats Nick Barber with a fall in 3:07 to earn a trip to Atlantic City as a number 3 seed and the 3rd place finisher.
Another takedown, 4-1. I'll tell you what, though, you don't want to be in this weight class the next couple of years because, first of all, these 2 guys are only juniors.
Yep.
Barber and Jones, so is Barber. Jones is only a sophomore.
Right.
So there's some pretty good upper weights in the next couple of years here. And I'll tell you what, I just got a word from our director. They're glad to see Ryan Goodman out there.
Why is that?
Not that they're big wrestling fans, but he's been leaning against the scaffolding all night, shaking the camera, they've been saying. I don't know if that's true. Nervous energy, probably.
Nervous energy.
We talked about Ryan Goodman. Last year lost in the state finals to Ricky Frondorf, 16-7. He was 33-4 as a freshman at Middle Township. We remember seeing him that year. 35-4 last year, 33-1 this year. His only loss coming in the Beast of the East to Josh Weitzel of Oxford Valley, PA, 10-6.
And on Friday night, when he tech-falled Frank Caratola of Deptford, that was his 100th career win.
And Vogue, what was I doing, by the way, during the introductions? I was trying to figure out how many wins he could have after his senior year.
Yes.
And he has a chance to at least tie. I want to put pressure on him. There's a lot of wrestling to go. And we see that nothing's a given anymore.
Could tie the state record.
Tied a state record. Which I think's in jeopardy of being tied this year by Giosa.
Yeah, probably Bobby Ray Stinson is the record holder right now, but Giosa is on a rampage. I think he got another pin on Friday night, so I think that was his 98th career pin or something like that.
It's up there.
Of course, right now, the listed state record, when people went back through files and found out that Patrick Lynch, when it was Ocean City, had 101 pins.
And then I heard Worthy of Central had like 104, 105, so you don't know what's true.
No, you don't. You don't. I mean, it's all up to schools sending back their information forms when they're canvassed like that.
5-1 lead now for Goodman. Last year it was Tom Curl holding that record.
Yeah. And before him it was Damian Hahn.
Right.
And now people are coming out of the woodwork saying, well, how about this guy? How about that guy? Well, bottom line is it comes from the high school coaches. If they get a form and they're asked to fill it out and send it back, historical records can be compiled. If they don't send it back, then everybody's playing a guessing game.
And Frank Hales, 25-1 this year. His only loss to Vince Jones. 20-8 as a freshman, 24-3 as a sophomore, 25-1 this year, 69-12 for his career.
Not shabby.
District champion the last 2 years. Last year placed fourth in the regions.
Of course, we know who's coaching at Absegami, of course, and the Overbrook coach.
Scott Vierick. A couple coaches that helped him out, Mitch Brown and Frank North. I don't want to mispronounce any names.
North is correct. There's another takedown, so it's 7-1. How'd you like to be in a wrestling room at Absegami, John, when you got Kyle Capella, and then you have Ryan Goodman, and then you have Jeff Black, and then you have Zach Hammond.
And Rob Leeds.
And a round robin there.
Right, and you know who works those heavyweights out? How about a guy named Pat Lynch and Sean Scannell? So, yeah, I wonder why they're the number 1 team in the state. It'll be interesting to see what happens next year preseason. I mean, they lose 6 seniors, I believe. Camden Catholic has a lot of youth. They always seem to struggle with the upper weights.
Yeah, their lightweights have really come on strong again this year. And, of course, Kingsway has a nice nucleus back. Paulsboro has a nice nucleus back.
And Absegami, by the way, has a nice nucleus back.
Oh, yeah.
Despite losing some, they're still going to be pretty good.
They won't be shabby, but any stretch of the imagination. A lot of sharks on that team, not many guppies.
We're going to have the second period, 7-1, Ryan Goodman in total control. Hales will start on the bottom to start the third period.
I know it was a formidable task for Frank Hales to be walking into, John, but the last Region 8 champion for Overbrook, a two-timer in 1999 and 2001, was that Gary DeBrielle, two-time region champ.
One of the better lightweights in South Jersey for a few years.
Yes.
Seven 7-1 lead. Well, it'll be interesting to see if Goodman stays in this position, if he can turn Hales. Because he's already shown that he's dominant on his feet.
Well, realistically now we're looking at two guys that have to be being considered as the outstanding wrestler of the tournament, John. Jared Mikado of Pittman at 130 pounds and Jordan Alcoba of Absegami at 145 pounds. They both have dethroned state champions this evening.
Absolutely. And then I think your third choice right now would be Franklin Gomez, who, what did he start out seated at 103?
Yeah, he was seated at number 5, but
right.
But
obviously it's not not defeating a state champ. That's why I said he's third on that list. Right?
Yeah.
Who would your pick be? And Alcoba beat the number 1 and 2 seeds.
Yeah, I think Alcoba right now, and I think Mercado a close second.
Mercado's beat the 2 and 3 seed, or 1 and 3 seeds.
Yeah.
Can't beat the 2 seed if you're a 2 seed.
No.
Goodman with the 7-1 lead.
Very methodical ride, just doing what he has to do. It's not all how impressive you are at this level. It's just getting the job done, winning that championship. And you can see with what happened to Ryan Bridge tonight and what happened to Brandon Becker, just how tough that is.
Just need one more point than your opponent. Goodman's big win this year, I guess most impressive had to be the one over Vinny Salick of Toms River.
Yes. Who many people thought going into the season this year was going to be a definite contender at either 160 or 171 pounds.
And he actually is a 60-pounder who went up to 71 for that match.
Right.
And obviously is the favorite at 60 because he last year lost only 5-4 to Ryan Cunningham in the final. But that was Goodman's big win this year.
Closing seconds of a 7-1 win.
Goodman Rye tails out in the third period.
Picks up his second consecutive Region 8 championship.
Vince Jones of Winslow finished third. He pinned Nick Barber in the consolations. 7-1, Goodman.
The top 4 finishers at 160 pounds.
Let me finish reading this note from the NJSIAA. The NJSIAA provides 33 state championships in different sports for boys and girls. The number is the most of any state association in the United States. The NJSIAA is in the unique position to positively affect the quality of life in New Jersey because of the nature of interscholastic athletics, which knows nothing of special bonds and racial origin. The shared experience of high school sports only demands fairness and competition and equal opportunity. High school activity programs are considered to be an American tradition. New Jersey is proud to sponsor activities for more than 216,000 New Jersey student athletes. As we take a look at Mark Barber of Kingsway Regional High School, and in the background who is standing up cheering is Dean Duca, his uncle, which was kind of a nice shot there. I don't know if we planned it, but it worked out nice, huh? And there's Paul Marina, the two coaches of Paulsboro, as their first wrestler to make it to the finals. It's been a long time since we waited to 189 to see a Paulsboro wrestler, but we have Zach Guerin, who's 30-3 this year, against the number 1 seed Jeff Black of Absegami, who's 33-0. Guerin's 3 losses, all close matches within 3 points to Patrick Bond of Great Bridge, Jerry Rinaldi, and Jeff Black.
Yeah, and this is a formidable task area. Jeff Black, a returning state champion, undefeated this year, number 1 seed. He pinned Nick Ryan of West Deptford in 2 minutes of the quarterfinals. He pinned Harry Zander of Gateway in 102 in the semifinals, so he's 34-0. Zach Guerin got his 100th win in the quarterfinals. He pinned Matt Silvestri of Hamilton, and he pinned Matt Hagel, the number 3 seed, in 238 in the semifinals. So his 30-3 record includes a couple pins today.
Of course, Guerin a little bloody from his semifinal match.
Yeah. How many pins do these two wrestlers have this year?
Guerin, 27 pins out of 30 wins, and 33. We don't have the number on Black. He did not fill that out.
Okay.
We know he has 117 wins. He's going to Ryder. Of course, Zach Guerin's going to follow in his brother's footsteps and go to North Carolina State. Zach Guerin had an outstanding high school football career. I think just a great high school football career.
He's an outstanding linebacker this year, and of course an offensive guard. They toil in the line of scrimmage without much hoopla, but he was an very visible linebacker. Harry Zander of Gateway, we mentioned, finished third with a 10-7 win over Matt Hagel of Mainland. Zander, the number 4 seed, will be taking a trip to Atlantic City. One of Zander's wins was a 159 fall over Mike Toomey of Kingsway in the wrestlebacks.
Wrestling fans, a special request. If anyone out there is found a very sentimental.
Of course, we talked about Jeff Black losing to Jerry Rinaldi of Lodi. That was in that, I don't know if it was a All-Star meet,
yeah,
which is the one that I think C.J. Mays lost in. That was a tough match. And last year, Jeff Black in the state semifinals beat Rinaldi 6-2.
Yep.
Of course, this year when these two met, Guerin took Black down in the first period, had an early lead, and then Black just took control.
Yeah, well, you see again, the style, the Absegami style that's becoming so visible now with Pat Lynch there and Sean Scannell. Of course, Barber was no cream puff when he was out in the match either. A very aggressive style, even more so now than I think in years past. I see a definite change in their modus operandi. Is that a good word?
I guess. I mean, you're a newspaper guy, so you're like the king of words, word king, wordsmith.
See Gene Barber there along with a trainer who's attending to a blood timeout by Jeff Black. This figured to be a very physical match. It was very physical in the dual meet.
You know, Vogue, when Leigh Black, I believe, had 142 wins. Jeff Black has 117, and when the younger brother's done, I don't know what the state record is for career wins by brothers, but it's definitely going to be probably a record for 3 Blacks.
Yeah,
I mean for 3 brothers.
Yeah, well, the Savaccia brothers and the Scove brothers, I think there were 3 or 4 Scove brothers that placed in the state.
But back then you didn't wrestle as many matches.
No, that's why the modern day wrestler is going to have a much more inflated win-loss total.
Right, now you can get up to what, 16 more matches in your career if you're a good team, because you get those 4 extra playoff matches a year.
Yeah.
Over 4 years, that's 16. Like if you're in Paulsboro, you're guaranteed those 4 matches every year.
Absolutely.
And the way Absegami's been going, them also. We're scoreless after the first period.
Interesting.
Of course, Zach Guerin had a scare last week in the District 29 finals against Xander, winning 4-2.
I saw the tape of that, John. I saw it in person, and then I saw it in tape, and of course I saw it in slow motion, and Xander came very, very close to getting back points against Guerin.
And hard to tell in slow motion, because you can make that look like 15 seconds if you want, and it was hard to say. But
there's the intentional escape. Of course, Black's attack here is going to be
mount pressure. Black is probably the most conditioned upper weight I've ever seen.
He's very, very strong out there. And Guerin cannot continue to back up on the whistle, or stalling will be issued.
There he takes the shot.
And notice how Black gets his chest on the top of his opponent's back. And that creates a lot of pressure also. They pummel you. They like to get you going up and down and get that pressure on your back and try and spin behind. He spun behind Guerin a couple times in that dual meet, if you remember. Guerin wrestling a very smart match so far.
1-0. And it goes Black right at him again. There's the warning. You called it, Coach. And that's the second one, so it's tied at 1.
Yep.
A lot of crowd didn't like it. At least a lot of the Paulsboro fans don't.
Well, and I think that's because the first shot, the first motion off the whistle was a step forward shot, and Black came right back and rushed him hard.
Right. But after you rush at him, you're pushing him backwards. Isn't that a stall on you? Like
well, yeah. I mean, you got to look at it very, very carefully if you're going to call stalling. Out of bounds they go. But in that last sequence, Guerin took the first step forward, and then Black came right at him. Well, you got no choice at that point but to react. If you don't react, you're going to get taken down right away.
Injury timeout for Black. And there we take a look at the Paulsboro corner with Dean Duca, and there's the Absegami side.
A couple of warriors out here going at it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I said they already wrestled once in the dual meet.
And as you said, Jeff Black is ticketed for Rider University.
Yep.
And Zach Guerin to join his brother at North Carolina State University.
As a matter of fact, Scott currently is undefeated, correct?
He was undefeated going into the ACC championships, and I'm sure he was a favorite because every ACC match he got in to wrestle this year had a limited schedule this year. I think it was like 14-0 maybe going into the ACCs,
right,
because he was coming off that major reconstructive knee surgery from 2 years ago. He did not wrestle last year.
There's the Courier Post. Mike Rodano on the right, writing that article, doing a terrific job.
Has a little laptop going there.
Yeah, look at him. He's not.
And who's that?
I have no idea who the guy on the left is. Maybe he's somebody from the press.
There's a lot of media
a lot
guys
of
over there.
newspaper guys, yeah. Bill Evans there from the Times. A couple Times reporters there. And there you see Black. He must have been hit pretty well because he's being. Look at Black and Guerin. They're both taped up over the head.
Yeah.
This is reminders of Duke to Joseph to Mia Hayward match.
Yeah. And Billy Himon years ago in his state finals when he was a junior, he was taped up so much he only had one eye visible. He lost the match in overtime, John, when the guy hit him from the side that was taped where his eye was taped. I think that was a kid from St. Benedict's.
So St. Benedict's no longer in the NJSIAA.
Well, we're tied 1-1 because of the stall point, so when it comes to the third period, Black obviously is going to be down. Garen's going to have to cut him early, I think.
Yeah.
Black is almost impossible to ride.
As a matter of fact, at the duel meet, Black got 1 or 2 reversals. I'm not really sure. You know, so Zach Garen's got to worry about that too.
Yes.
And there's the shot by Garen. Nice job. Black just backs up, slips out of it.
Well, that's a sprawl off that, and he brings the chest down on Garen's back. And now he pummels again, goes in hard. Well, like we said, 2 warriors going at it. One a defending state champion and 1 fourth of the state last year. Black the champion. Got that front headlock. He's going to try and spin around on it.
Looks like 13 seconds left.
Yeah, if Jordan Alcoba gets that headlock on Black in the wrestling room.
I don't know. Black's strong. I don't know if he's going over.
This is very familiar to the match that Garen lost down in Virginia to Patrick Bond of Great Bridge. Lost that on the stalling point. 1-1 after 2.
I think the original Black-Garen match was a little more exciting as far as scoring. It was like 9-6, 9-7.
Yeah, I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that Garen scored early and Black had to rally. And
there's the escape. It's 2-1 now for Black. So Garen's going to need a takedown, or because I don't think Black's going to get hit for stalling.
No, I don't think so. He's forward motion many times. He's coming right straight forward. But if he keeps driving his man out of bounds, that could be construed as stalling, letting your man inbounds the wrestle. One of these very strategic type of matches where 1 point could be huge.
Just running out of room. We go back to the center with 1:27 left. There's Garrett on the shot. Nice sprawl.
What's that remind you of, John?
Me.
How about Damian Covington?
Damian Covington, yeah.
Going, or Patrick Lynch going in on the double leg against Damian Covington. Damian Covington just sort of like peeling him off.
And there you see the fans yelling for a stall there, and the Paulsboro coach is finally getting up yelling for it. They don't get it. 1 minute left. I think Garrett's going to go for it all here.
Oh my.
Nothing. 50 seconds left.
Oh, brother.
Those we've already seen 2 defending state champions lose.
What are the chances of 3?
Oh, I tell you what, a great match no matter what. And there's the Paulsboro crowd saying, he's just shoving Garen backwards. They finally hit him with 33 seconds left.
What are the chances that Vinny Russo was here tonight? There would have been 7-8 stall calls in this bout so far.
Yeah, we might still be at 140 pounds though, Vos. Garen taking a shot. Nice sprawl again by Black. 17 seconds. Get a stalemate. Nice job by Roberts. Stopping it right away.
Now, see, Absegami has the stall warning here. If Garen can put enough pressure on him in his last 14 seconds to try and drive him back, he might get a stall point.
Grabs the ankle. There's a nice job by Black. Nothing yet. If they just stay here, Black's going to win 2-1. That's the way it's going to end. Unbelievable. Nice match, though. We're assuming the crowd's booing the officials, not the wrestlers.
Well, I sure do. I hope not, because they're 2 outstanding warriors going at it out there. And I think a lot of mutual respect for each other.
We're going to take a break, Fudge, and we're going to come right back. Back at Absegami High School, final two weight classes of the evening, 215 in heavyweight. And this is a rematch for the Paulsboro-Absegami dual meet, with Isaac Redmond defeated Zach Hammond 7-2. You see Redmond's record, he's defeated all comers. He's 25-0, Hammond 29-5. Some of the fans are starting to bail. The novice wrestling fans are starting to bail, Vogue.
Yep, and it's a shame because this could be a barn burner here as well.
Trying to beat the crowd. Yeah. And Hammond's a state place winner last year.
State place winner last year. Isaac Redmond did not wrestle last year. And here's the interesting thing here, John. You got to go back a lot of years to find out the last time that Paulsboro didn't have a regional champion. And this is their last gasp right here. This is it.
The only plus about the fans leaving, easier for me to get out. No score, 40 seconds in. It's just so hard to take Isaac Redmond down, watching him all year. He is so strong for a kid that's not even 200 pounds.
Yeah.
Look how quick he is on the leg, Vogue. He grabs the leg and has Hammond down for the takedown. We've seen him play linebacker. We've seen him play running back. 3 years starting on the high school team. They were, 35-0?
Yes.
Going to Temple on a football scholarship. Just an unbelievable athlete. Had some of the greatest runs this side of Kevin Harvey, unfortunately for him.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what Redmond does here on top, whether he tries to build up his riding skills on top, or there's your answer. He's going to cut him loose.
Cut him loose. It's now 2-1, and Redmond's asking for timeout. Once Hammond wiped down, I think there's a little blood. Matter of fact, and then we talked about Redmond. I thought style's a lot to do with it. He wrestled Kirk Eason from Egg Harbor Township in the semis and won 3-1. And I just thought his style was a little tougher for Redmond.
Yeah.
Because I think Hammond beat Eason this year. I'm not sure, but I think Hammond beat Eason.
Isaac Redmond, the number 1 seed, got a tech fall over Aaron Love of Lindenwold in the first round, 22-6. As you mentioned, he beat Kirk Eason 3-1 in the semifinal, very evenly matched. Zach Hammond, at this point, the number 2 seed, he won 7-4 against Chris Isaac of Washington Township, and then beat Andrew Jackson of Pennsville 5-3. Kirk Eason comes back from Egg Harbor Township and wins 3-1 in overtime over Andrew Jackson to earn a spot on the trip to Atlantic City.
2-1. Has here on my record 7-4, that Hammond-Redmond match, but it was definitely dominated by Redmond. One of the few bright spots for Paulsboro that Saturday evening here in Absegami.
Yeah, late Saturday afternoon. We came here after the Kingsway match, and by the time we got here, we're into that 3rd or 4th bout. Here again, you look at the Absegami style. See the forward motion,
1 second left, so we'll go in the second period. Redmond up 2-1 with the takedown. Eason picked up a 3-1 win over Andrew Jackson of Pennsville.
You like that name, huh?
3-1 in overtime. I'm sure we had a Brendan Byrne in this tournament. We had an Andrew Jackson. That's a little political there.
Yeah.
Redmond on top, as we saw last time. He didn't stay there long. He let Hammond go, and he's going to do the same here. So, Boach, you let him up, you
got to take him down.
There you go. First time in all these years I actually said it to you. And here's Hammond right in on the legs, and he's, like you said, the Absegami wrestler's going right after your opponent.
The strategy here, John, is for Hammond to keep it close, keep the pressure on, hope he can tire Redmond down. Early in the year, Redmond was susceptible to being worn down, but he is so quick, as he just showed right there, on his feet.
Yep.
And I think you're going to see a lot of that if he doesn't run out of gas. A lot of let him go and take him down. Second takedown for a 4-2 lead, and I'm sure he's going to cut him early here.
It'll be interesting. Eberstein of Hunterdon Central and Redmond are the top 215-pounders currently in the state. Originally, John Loff of Jackson was up there, and Redmond just tore him apart in that dual meet.
Kind of dominated him.
Absolutely, and then Hammond was another one who he beat, and there's now 4-3 on the escape.
And Hammond wrestled Eberstein in the state groups, and I think that match went overtime. think Eberstein won by 2 points in overtime. Hammond tied it up late, went in overtime. I think Eberstein got a takedown.
And Village, what's one of the great things about high school wrestling, and at the same time, the worst thing about high school wrestling is that wrestling forum on NewJersey.com. But a lot of people on that forum are saying, how good can Redmond be? He only beat the kid by RV by a couple points. That kid from RV didn't come close to beating Redmond in that match. Redmond controlled it. Don't go by the score. Redmond controlled it, got the takedowns. A lot of times the score is a lot, not the whole story.
Very deceiving sometimes.
And by the way, the kid from Rancocas Valley isn't that bad.
He was no
Last
slouch.
time I saw, he was still wrestling.
Yeah, what did we say? That was Franco Harris's nephew?
Is that who he was?
I think so. I think that's what we heard.
31 seconds left in the second as we go back to
Again,
the center.
a lot of mutual respect out here for these guys against each other.
Yeah, Marcus Miller was still alive in the semifinals going in today in Region 7. So.
And that Joe McWigan of Cinnaminson, I believe, is having a pretty good year. I don't think has he lost yet?
He lost once last week in the district finals. He was upset by a kid from Holy Cross. 9 seconds left, 4-3. Redmond with the 2 takedowns, Hammond with the 3 escapes.
I think the third period you'll see Redmond down, and again.
I was going to say, do you think Redmond will take down or take neutral?
I would take down.
And he is. Hammond plans on going to college, didn't really name it yet. Zach Hammond. What's interesting about Hammond, his career record, which is wrong again. I'm going to need a calculator half the time. His favorite pastime, by the way, is ping pong.
Ping pong.
Ping pong. 5-3 lead for Redmond. So even if Hammond was to take him down, he'd have to hold him there or release him and take him down twice.
Yeah.
Because I don't think if he takes him down, he's going to hold him down.
Now, if he takes him down, one might want to try and take him down with a big throw, a headlock, something where he gets back points at the same time.
There's Redmond again with the shot. He's trying to bring his man back in. Nice job on the line and bringing his guy back in the trip.
Nice
There's
trip.
the takedown. That's a beautiful job.
Nice trip.
Though that's wrestling, huh?
Yes, it is.
And we're mentioning about Brandon Becker. He had that tough loss. We saw him coaching Barber. And before Redmond's match came over, he went over to the Paulsboro side, shook Redmond's hand, said good luck, tapped him, and left.
Wouldn't it be nice if the fans in both communities had the same mutual respect? There's a wrestler complimenting another wrestler from the
Rivals.
I
will just leave it at that. Rival. I'm not getting into that Kingsley Paulsboro controversy anymore. I'm staying away.
Nor am I.
I've gotten called at home by people.
They both have their share of very fine wrestlers.
And by the way, I do welcome the phone calls, by the way. I don't want the guy to think I don't appreciate it. I like that phone call, actually. Except it was around dinner time. Mark.
Well, it shows that they...
I said his name, so he'll know who I'm talking
They
about.
value your opinion and value your expertise.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Which has increased over the years.
It was funny, because he actually said that your wife gets on him, too.
Oh, my.
7-3 lead for Isaac Redmond. I'm surprised there we go. I was going to say, I'm surprised he hasn't cut him, but he finally cuts him. 7-4, 45 seconds left. So Isaac Redmond, not bad. You take a year off from wrestling after winning a region title as a sophomore. You don't want to wrestle. You come out for the team. You don't like the sport. And you're going to be a region champ undefeated going into the last week of the season.
For a guy who didn't really want to come out this year. He had a great football season, a record-setting football season. And really, I think had a lot of second thoughts about coming out for wrestling. But for the team, they really had a weak spot up there. There was an opening. He came out after Christmas, got himself in shape. He's getting in better and better shape every week. Here's a guy who could be all South Jersey in 2 different sports. Football.
Right. Look at how strong he is.
My.
Hammond went in on the takedown.
Brother.
Redmond shrugs it off, gets 2. 9-4.
4 takedowns. Amazing. Gifted athlete.
Of course, since you bleed red, of course we all do, but since you bleed Paulsboro red, you probably thought Isaac Redmond should have been the South Jersey Player of the Year in football.
Absolutely.
And my thought was go co-players of the year. Him and Albert Young.
Yeah, unfortunately, newspapers sometimes don't think that way, but it would have been very apropos.
So warning against Redmond, but he can afford to with 1 second left. So Paulsboro's string will continue. They do pick up a region champ, a 9-5 win. The only 5 points coming on escapes for Zach Hammond. Isaac Redmond wins it. And I guess we're going to take a break.
All right.
Okay, let's go.
We'll be back.
There you go. And welcome back to Absegami, the final match of the night. Heavyweight Rick Amos of Hamilton High School was senior, 27-2. He goes up against Jeff Tyler of Delsey, who is a senior, and just enjoying a fine season. Tyler, 31 wins, 1 loss, and his only loss was the first dual meet of the season, Voj, which I had a chance to cover, losing to Zach Hammond. Both of these guys have lost to Hammond. Amos lost 7-4. His other loss to Nate Brown of Williamstown, 6-3. He's going to be attending the U.S. Naval Academy, so nothing like that free tuition, man.
And a great future.
Of course, likes football, likes baseball. His head coach, and we got to talk about Hamilton. What a job they did. Almost beat Buda, a close match with Buda in the South Jersey Group 2 final. Of course, Buda took Kittatinny to the wire, and Kittatinny, I think, ended up the #2 team in the state, at least in the Gannett poll.
Right.
Anyway, they're coached by Kevin LaMonica, and he's got a little bloodlines to this gym, huh?
Oh, yeah. Former Absegami wrestler.
Yeah.
Jeff Tyler, 31-1, as you mentioned. John, he pinned in the first match, Wyckoff of Kingsway, but had a very tough match with Frank McGrath, an impressive junior from St. Augustine, 2-1. Rick Amos and, of course, Jason Hatchell of Clearview. We know the story on that. Prior to the district weekend, they were 215-pounders. They both bumped up to heavyweight for the districts.
I think it was the right move, Voj.
Oh, absolutely.
Hatchell finished 3rd. He's going to move on.
Yeah, Amos tech falled Matt Petrutz, and then he turned around and beat Jason Hatchell 7-6. Jason Hatchell comes back and pins Frank McGrath of St. Augustine in 108. So both the guys who were 215 all year qualified heavyweight for the states. And you have 2 gifted wrestlers here as far as their wrestling season is concerned, and both of them are pretty decent football players, John.
Yeah.
Tyler, a 2-way lineman for Kingsway, and Rick Amos, quite a football player for
Hamilton
this year.
Tyler for Delsey, by the way, Voj.
What did I say?
Kingsway, but that's okay. We'll let Kingsway. And Tyler's going to be going to Towson State and playing his football. His brother had a great career.
Yeah.
Delsey. So Steve Isles coaching his last region match.
Steve Isles has one more weekend, state championship weekend at Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City. Last I heard, there were about 300 reserve seats left, but some walk-in seats available in the arena. And if they fill that place up, John, it'll be wild. 14,000 people will be there, and I'll be there.
There you go.
Will you be there?
It looks like it. Depends on what's going on with basketball. We'll see what's going on.
What's going on with what?
Yeah, the other sport. Which, by the way, so you know, Voj, coming into tonight, 2 of our local schools still alive. Deptford in Group 3, they had a tough one today against Willingboro, and Paulsboro going against the defending Group 1 champs, Burlington City.
Yeah, defending state Group 1 champs.
Yes.
But in Paulsboro's gym this time, they lost a 2-pointer last year in the South Jersey final. So a lot of paybacks expected in that game, which, as we speak, is probably nearing a close.
I know the wrestling fans don't care about basketball, but I do both shows, so I cover both sports.
Well, you're very versatile.
Right.
Nice move by Amos.
Yeah.
Sweeps in there in a single leg, knocks Tyler off his base, trying to step over.
That's a big takedown.
Gets the takedown.
It's now 2-1.
Big move by Amos.
So Tyler starts on the bottom, gets the first points, but Amos with the big takedown.
Nice roll by the big man.
And it's 2-2.
Wow. You seldom see a guy that size do that kind of a roll that quickly. Jeff Tyler is a man on a mission too. Coming down the last 10 seconds of the second period, we're all knotted up at 2-2. Absegami with 4 regional champions. Washington Township and Delsey with 2 apiece, so Delsey could move ahead of Washington Township with a win here, John. It could be their 3rd regional champion. Donnie Fish and Jason Belinsky earlier.
And there we see a 2-2 tie. And I was going to ask you, do you think Amos will take the bottom? Because a lot of times when you're giving up a lot of weight, to the heavyweights, you don't like to do this, but
yeah, but he's
not your average lightweight,
no,
is he?
He's not your average. He's 215 all year, so there you go.
He's got size, strength, quickness, as you saw.
Yep.
3-2 now for Amos.
So Tyler is in a position where he's got to get a takedown in order to have a chance to win this match.
Once again, the top 2 seeds. And actually, the top 3 seeds will all place and advance, so a nice job. A lot of talk about, which is funny because you said that the way they've seeded the wrestlers has been this way for the last few years, but there's a lot of controversy this year about the way it's gone.
Well, only controversy because people don't understand the criteria of it, which is spelled out quite clearly in the book. The biggest indoctrination and education has got to come from the coaches themselves. We've got to have them be very diligent on past performances. That plays such a big role. Got a double stall warning here in the 2 heavyweights.
Vote, see that? I asked for that earlier, and we get it later. Not bad. 4-3 match for Amos.
Amos 28-2 coming in. Who did Amos lose to, John? You got that on that sheet?
I did.
There?
I said Nate Brown and Zach Hammond.
I didn't hear you.
You don't pay attention. I'm just joking.
That's a busy writing.
And Tyler's only lost to Zach Hammond.
Well, I knew that.
So Hammond's got both of these guys in his book.
Yeah. And Hammond, who was at heavyweight back then, is now, well, of course, when Hamilton wrestled,
yeah, he was 215.
He was at 215 against Hammond. When Hammond wrestled Tyler, Hammond was at heavyweight. Tyler needs a big move in a hurry. He's 30 seconds running down in the 3rd period. He's losing by a point. What's the difference whether you lose by 1 point or 4 or 5 points? You've got to take a shot.
Of course, Amos with the stall warning has got to work too.
Yeah.
Under 15.
Tyler working hard. Amos battling him off.
5 seconds left.
How about this? A guy who wrestled 215 all year is going to be your heavyweight champion.
Maybe. And now you can say that. No takedown. 4-3 to final. Amos wins. Beats Jeff Tyler. So, Vogue, let's recap. Absegami sends 8 to the finals. They pick up the most champs.
Right.
Paulsburg goes to 215 before they win their first region title.
Right.
Gloucester County, District 29, I should say, comes out with 2 champions. The surprise there, though, is Jared Mercado, who knocks off defending state champion Ryan Bridge.
Right.
12-6, I believe. I should go back to my sheets here.
Who's that? 12-6 is correct.
12-6, and the other big upset, Jordan Alcoba in overtime, 7-2.
Right.
Over Brandon Becker.
Yeah, Pittman with a champion, Kingsway with a champion, Paulsboro with a champion from Gloucester County.
And Washington Township with Tomasetti. Yeah.
And Delsey with 2. Washington Township, as you mentioned, with Tomasetti and Tisdale 2. So 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of the 14 champions from Gloucester County, John.
And Vogue, boy, this is our last match, I guess, till the All-Star match. So it's been another great season, a short season. Of course, we like to do like a couple matches a week. We're not going to get that. We almost got knocked over by the guy rolling up the mats. Anyway, folks, the NJSIAA believes that athletics supports the academic mission of our New Jersey schools by teaching sportsmanship, teamwork, self-discipline, and fair play. Studies have indicated that high school athletes in season perform better academically than out of season. Encourage your child to get involved in high school athletics. You will be glad you did. High school sports activities provide its participants with many of life's positive values. Support your local high school program by your attendance at some of these contests. The NJSIAA provides 33 state championships in different sports for boys and girls. That number is the most of any state association in the United States. The NJSIAA is in the unique position to positively affect the quality of life in New Jersey because of the nature of interscholastic athletics, which knows nothing of social bonds and racial origin. The shared experience of high school sports only demand fairness in competition and equal opportunity. High school activity programs are considered to be an American tradition. New Jersey is proud to sponsor activities for more than 216,000 New Jersey student athletes. Voj, I got by that. I wanted you.
Well said.
I wanted to switch each paragraph. Would you have gone for that? Because I got about 106 copies of this thing. But Voj,
well said. Well done. Great Region 8 tournament.
couple things real quick before we wrap up. I want to thank all the coaches. They did a terrific job. We had these things 2 or 3 hours before we went on the air, so thanks for them. Thank you to Absegami High School. They run a terrific tournament,
Oh,
don't
they certainly do. They certainly, there's a class act here. I know grumblings go on about someplace bigger. Not too many places bigger in South Jersey. And, I think that they got a new athletic director this year. Scott, gee whiz, I'm drawing
They're going to help me in my headset.
Yeah,
Anyway.
well, Scott is the new athletic director. Scott Logic, there you go.
There you
Scott
go.
Logic, new athletic director, and he did a great job with his staff of setting everything up. We had a full house here tonight. Lord knows how many people, well over 2,000 people jammed in every nook and cranny in here, and some of the best wrestling in South Jersey, if not the state, going on here this evening under this roof.
Right, he was the logical choice to be named AD, I hear.
Yes,
Logical. Anyway,
very logical.
we had a chance this season to see, Absegami High School, which put on one of the best performances of a team since maybe the Highland and Paulsburg teams of the early 80s also.
Unanimous #1 choice is #1 in the state this year. A perfect season. They're just a dominating team for a high school team. It's just amazing.
I mean, in a time where a lot of teams, Group 3, Group 4 teams included, had trouble fielding 14 weight classes, they can do so and still have more depth when somebody goes down. So Gene Barber is doing a great job, and his coaches.
Absolutely. Gene Barber and even Coach Brown, who's behind the scenes and not as visible as coaches Scannell and Patrick Lynch. They just have a wonderful staff to engineer things and quite a wealth of talent.
Okay, Voj, a terrific night. Some great matches, 2 major upsets for John Vojing. I'm John Mondelli. We'll see you next time here on Comcast.